Okay. And we should be live. I think we're live. I want to make
Awesome.
sure. Yes, I think so. I haven't had to do a stream like this in a really long time. Okay. Here we go. Yep. And I don't want to get the feedback of me. Yep. Good. All right, we're good. Welcome
Awesome.
everybody to the latest episode of Fascinating People with my buddy NeoGibu.
Hey, how you doing?
So we actually before we get into like the meat and potatoes and everything, we were just about to have a very quick debate about which is better, being too hot or being too cold. And I think I would rather be too hot, and you would rather be too cold. Is that our
I
positions?
I was born in the cold. I live in the cold. I love the cold.
Okay, that's fair. So your reasoning why you think why you're a cold supremacist is is because you could put more layers on, but you can't take more layers off.
Yeah.
Well, I would counter to that. I have a very, very frail body that gets immediately chilled straight to the goddamn bone. It's not my fault.
Put on another sweater.
It's I can't, I need to. You know what? When I go out in like the super mega cold, and I do actually try and acclimate. Because I'm Finnish. I should be okay with this, but it doesn't work too terribly well. I have to
Yeah.
I have to Eskimo up. I have to be like looking through a hole like this.
Oh man. So you're running around like Kenny.
Yeah. That's the only way I can survive in like the really brutal winters. Oh,
hmm
it's the worst. Oh my god. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a strange thing. I'm very jealous of you people. You polar people. Is that fair or is that racist?
I'll let it slide just because you're Finnish.
Okay. That's close enough. It's close enough. Even though you're a traitor to your race. Um. All right. All right. Anyway, I I got like 3 hours of sleep last night.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we both have insomnia, don't we?
Uh, Mine is due to I have so many projects going on here that I'm actually at my office today because of this.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
So
Okay.
yeah,
I think it started out. Mine started out as noisy brain, and then it just became like just habit. I think
yeah.
my insomnia is now just a habit. It's very strange.
Well, I usually run on about 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night anyway, so getting a couple less really doesn't affect me too much.
That's
I
pretty fair.
just, I usually end up taking a power nap at lunch or something like that.
I can't nap. What do you do? What do you do? I'm curious about this. I ask people this all the time. What do you do to take a nap? What's your strategy to get to sleep?
This is going to sound weird, but I actually got it from an Army Ranger who served in Iraq.
Okay.
First thing you do, you slam a cup of coffee. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it works. But you slam a cup of coffee, start flexing all your muscles, starting at your toes, and work your way up to your neck. And then slowly undo them in the same order. And by the
Hmm.
time you get to your neck, you're out.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try that.
I actually hit Susan, who is in both of our streams frequently.
Mm-hmm.
He had big problems with insomnia, and he tried it, and it works for him too. So,
Wow. Okay.
I mean, there
Okay.
might be some merit behind it. I haven't done any research on it, but it's what I do.
Damn.
So,
Okay. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try that next time I have to try and power nap. The thing that's always worked for me. Well, not really. It doesn't work at all. But it works for when I'm exhausted, but I'm having trouble getting to sleep.
mm,
Event Horizon.
yeah, that'll do it.
I watched that movie every night going to sleep for 2 years straight, and so now, like this morning, I needed to take a power nap. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do this with you today.
Yeah,
I laid down and like all bundled up, as warm as I could get, and I put Event Horizon on my phone, playing right next to my face, and I instantly went to sleep.
yeah. The bad part is growing up between the ages of like 5 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
All my dad would play would be Star Wars. So anytime I hear that amazing opening orchestra chorus,
Yeah, John Williams.
I go straight to sleep.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He ruined Star Wars for me. I love the
Oh.
movies, but I have to fast forward through that opening orchestra scene.
You know, I fell asleep during The Last Jedi, but I don't think it was because of the music.
No, that was just a horrible movie.
Yeah. God damn, that would be terrible. Programming yourself into sleep with like a. I mean, I love Event Horizon, but I'm totally comforted by sleeping to that. But Star Wars, that would be shit.
Yeah, it also works for Jurassic Park. Yeah.
What about Indiana Jones?
I'm fine with Indiana Jones. I'm fine with any of the Star Trek movies. But it's Jurassic Park with, I think it's just those long string sets that they do in those, or it could be any part of it, but yeah, instant sleep for me.
So there's this trick that somebody taught me a long time ago to like completely frustrate somebody. I'm not suggesting that you do it, but I'm suggesting you try and make people do this because it's really funny. Ask somebody to hum the Star Wars theme, the Indiana Jones theme, and the Superman theme, and they can never do all three. By the time they get through the first two, and do it in whatever order you want, it doesn't matter. They'll get through the first two, and then they'll start redoing one of those two, and they can't remember what the third one is.
Yeah, it's almost as bad as trying to say toy boat over and over and over.
Toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat. Ooh.
See what I mean?
Yeah. That's a pretty good one. I like tongue twisters and shit like that. It's it's fun.
I like to fuck with people, so tongue twisters are great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, I have to speak for a living, so
yeah,
tongue twisters and having to like practice enunciating things is like super good for me. But
yeah.
Toy boat, 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 toy boat. Fuck, it's like 6 steps in, you're already screwed up.
Yeah, that was the one that my buddy taught me. I think it was 2009. He's a voice actor. Used to work for ADV Films.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
Wow. What kind of? Do you know of any of the projects that he worked on?
Well, the most recent one that I'm allowed to say is he was Cooler in Dragon Ball Super for the Funimation one.
Oh wow. Damn.
So
that's cool. I always wanted to be a voice actor. It's harder to get into than you'd think.
It is, but at the same time, it's location, and timing.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Yeah. When the right project comes along and you have to be right there. I imagine, is it mostly in like LA that they're looking for voice actors, or?
Texas is the big scene for it, really.
Really?
You wouldn't think so, but Houston, Texas is one of the locations Funimation is in, and that's one of the big ones. And then you got LA, and then you have Toronto. Those are the 3 biggest ones.
Toronto's becoming like a big ass thing in the entertainment industry lately, from what I've understood. It's because it's so cheap to film a movie in goddamn Kanakistan. Bastards.
Well, if you really want cheap, you go to Quebec. So yeah,
I bet Quebec. You know what? I'm trying really hard to fight off a natural racism that's happening in me right now. I don't like the Quebecois, except when I talk to one, and then they're wonderful and I love them deeply. But for some reason, I hear Quebec and I'm like,
If you want to see true racism, put an actual Frenchman next to a Quebecois.
Why?
They go ape shit.
Which one hates?
I'm not joking.
Which one hates which the worst?
The French think that they are the most vile things on the planet.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I'm talking. You could get a African American person and a person from the KKK together, and they would get along better than the French and the Quebecois. Same thing for Spanish, true Spanish, and Mexicans.
Oh yeah, well yeah, they're They're absolutely horrible to each other down in Mexico. Well, no. True Spanish are very horrible to native Mexicans in Mexico. They're really terrible to
It
them.
is. I mean, it's vile the way they treat them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's in a lot of people in America don't actually quite understand how bad it is, until you talk to like an actual native Mexican and ask him about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I did it in like the most ignorant ass way possible. I asked a Mexican friend of mine once, why don't all of Mexicans look the same? Why are there white Mexicans? What is that about? It was a very ignorant way to ask it, but he was a really cool guy. He was very calm and patient, and he spelled the whole thing out for me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow.
I mean, it's well, the only people that are cool with like native speakers, and then the ones who basically what they like to call bastardize their language are the English to us. Everybody else is just revolted about the way that they call it bastardization. I call it evolving.
Sure. Natural progression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd agree. All right, well, let's get into some questions about you. This is your interview. We're here to learn about you, which is great because so often it's just me vomiting myself onto the internet, and this is my chance to actually, really get to know somebody else, and I like this. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I was asking, I have these pulled up, and I read them earlier, but then I took a nap. So you were raised mostly by your grandpa.
Yeah, well, my grandpa and grandma. My grandpa died when I was 13.
Okay. So it seems like there's a very specific way in which you and I can relate. And it comes from tragedy, specifically with your grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Your grandmother passed away from Alzheimer's. So what was that like? Was it a pretty quick onset Alzheimer's, or?
Stage 1 was pretty quick. She went from stage 1 to stage 2 pretty fast, and then stage 2 lasted about a good 4 years, and then stage 3 almost didn't happen. She almost went straight to stage 4.
Wow.
And yeah, like I was saying, when I think it was about 22, she told me to just leave and never look back.
Right.
Because I've got cousins and everybody else who were going to take care of her. Okay. And that's what I did.
Sure. Was it one of those moments where, like, because this happened with my mom quite a bit. It would just be the Alzheimer's, the constant like resetting, but every now and then she'd have those moments where she'd just kind of like, and she'd sharpen, and it was her again for just a minute, maybe 2.
Yeah, you'd get about 2 to 5 minutes worth of perfect clarity, and then it was right back to the fog.
Yep. Yeah. Man, it's a powerful thing. It sounds like she probably had one of those moments of clarity when she said go,
Yeah, and that's why I just packed up and left.
Yeah. Go find your fortune. God.
Well, I wouldn't call it a fortune, but I do okay.
Yeah. I'm actually going to the Alzheimer's walk here in Eugene tomorrow. So that'll be a thing. I do that every year. Well, cool. So from there, you go off to find your way in life. Now, prior to this, what was some of the dreams that you thought of for yourself? Like what you would have liked to have accomplished in the world? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, I wanted to be a tradesman. I wanted to be an electrician. But the issue is, and I didn't know it until I went to go start taking the tests, I'm colorblind. I can't distinguish purple and brown, and that's the difference between 1,000 and 10 when it comes to resistance. So Yeah, I ended up having to go into computers because of that. Because well, you don't need to know colors in order to go into computer.
Okay, yeah, that would be a very huge that would be a problem with being an electrician. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, if you're going to talk about good tradesmen, an electrician can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year easy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think my uncle's an electrician, and he does really well for himself. But
Hmm.
he's one of those weird Northern California people who does really well for himself and chooses to live in like the most desolate wasteland possible. I don't understand people like that.
Yeah, Spartan living sometimes is unusual.
Yeah, yeah, makes a shit ton of money and then has a bunch of land and just like lives in like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. It's bizarre.
Mhm.
So you wanted to do trades? That was actually something that I wanted to do when I was growing up as well. So what attracted you? Was it just the paycheck that attracted you to want to do electrician?
No, I actually have a fascination with biotechnology. So one thing I wanted to do with being an electrician is learn, the resistance and impedance of actual human tissue to maybe be able to create biosynthetics for like, you know, amputees and stuff. But, you know,
See, now you're talking my language. When I was growing up, I was fascinated by the concept of cybernetics, and
hmm
that was something that I thought about too. I always thought, like one of the reasons why I started going to biology was neuroscience to learn how neurons worked,
hmm
and that's like if I had managed because like it's other things happen. If I had managed to actually go through and do what I originally intended to do, and if you managed to go through and do what you intended to do, we could have maybe been working together on some cybernetics.
yeah, well, the, this is where you're probably going to laugh a little bit. The whole idea behind the cybernetic thing came from Metroid.
Really?
Yeah,
Is Samus a cybernetic or a cybernetic person?
no, but the various suit is.
Oh, okay. No, that's cool. Fuck it, man. That sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, just sitting there playing a game that I bought after, for my 12th birthday, my grandpa got me a job
Mm-hmm.
working on a horse farm. So I bought Super Metroid. And then I started reading about it and was like, that would be kind of cool to make. I wonder how I could do that.
Yeah. That is pretty cool. Damn. I mean, I think that makes total fucking sense to me, man. Like well now, there was just a video put out. A guy that's I think he was tetraplegic. He can't move three of his limbs. They
Mhm.
made an interface for him in an exosuit, and he can actually kind of move around now. So, I mean,
Hmm.
exosuit technology is really not that far away.
Yeah.
And you work in computers, so I mean, if you're really that interested, you could always. Do you do programming?
I do a little bit.
Yeah.
Most of my stuff right now is just in Bash because of my job. Uh, Hardware engineer for a big company.
Hmm.
But I do a little bit of Python, do a little bit of SQL. I do a tiny bit of Node, but I don't do it very well. But yeah, just bits and pieces here and there.
The only type of coding I ever learned was basic C coding for old
Mhm.
muds and mushes.
Dude, Legend of the Red Dragon.
I played that.
Yes,
It
I
was.
was huge into BBS Muds.
Oh my god! Holy shit! That's crazy. I played that one. I played a bunch of like Deku muds and all sorts of
Mhm.
stuff. I love that stuff so much. Especially
Yeah,
the mushes, the like type out role play stuff. I played that for like a decade.
yeah. There was also when I got AOL and actually got bigger on the internet was Legends of Terrace.
Legends of Terrace. What was that one?
It was basically a BB, it was basically a mud, but it was text based. It was a
Mm.
mush. but it was exclusively on AOL, and it's
Mm.
actually still around.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah.
That's crazy. There was I'm trying to remember what the name of it was. I want to say it was like Apocalypse Mud or something like that. And what it was old World of Darkness, like Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Apocalypse, themed PvP mud. It was absolutely ridiculous.
I think I know which one you're talking about, but I cannot for the fucking life of me remember the name of it.
Mm. And then I got really into it. I started like getting interested in coding, and so I decided I wanted to learn how to make my own class, and it was interesting. It was a very interesting experience for sure.
Yeah, sorry if you hear anything in the background. They're rebuilding the bathroom.
That's all right. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually I learned a dead language at the time. It wasn't dead when I started learning it, just to try to write my own mud as well.
Mm-hmm.
I learned Pascal.
Oh yeah. That's a dead fucking language.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
But it was easy to code in.
I imagine. Yeah. You know what? The world left me behind when it comes to coding. It really, really did.
Mm-hmm.
When I was making websites, like Java had just been created, and everybody's like, we don't want to touch that. We got our JavaScript and everything works fine. We don't need anything more fancy than that. And now I look at making websites and I'm like, nah, dude.
Dude, HTML5 is actually really easy to use.
I'm an old man. I got left behind in the dust.
I'm older than you, man.
I mean, yeah, but okay. So this is what happened with me. Is I was in this for a while, and like 2000 I was working for McAfee.com. 2001 I was working for another software company, and then I left and did a lot of drugs and traveled all over the world and had horrible abusive relationships, and that's probably why I lost all of my coding intelligence.
Yeah, I get you on the abusive relationships, and I probably get you a little bit on the drugs too.
Mm.
Coke, shrooms, and speed were my things.
Oh yeah. When ephedrine was legal.
Oh God, Yellow Jackets.
Yeah. Oh my God, that shit was amazing. That's what fucked up my teeth so bad, and I had to get a bunch of dental work done.
Mm-hmm. Well, mine too.
Oh yeah. Slowly but surely. I've only lost one regular tooth. Thank God. A friend of mine, like, he lost them all of them, because of the shit that we did back then. There was the Yellow Jackets. There was the ephedrine 850, the big black horse pills.
Mm-hmm.
Had them in a candy dish. It was.
Oh man. Okay, so you were a little bit bigger into it than I was. I was more, okay, I need to get through this, so pop a couple Yellow Jackets and just get it done.
Well, for us, it was, look, we don't have anything to do for 3 days, and we really want to play some Cyberpunk 2020 or some D&D, so... Yeah. That was... Yeah.
Whereas, how fast can I rebuild my engine? Pop.
Ooh, see... That's a lot less pathetic than what we were doing. That's awesome. Rebuild an engine? Fuck yeah.
Well, I've had so many jobs because I get bored easy.
Oh, yeah.
This is the only job I've ever had where I didn't get bored in a year.
Okay.
So I've worked everything from holding the bag at a horse breeding facility. Yeah, remember when I said my grandpa got me a job when I was 12? That was the job.
No way. Oh my God.
Yeah, way.
Oh,
yeah, way. Breeding quarter horses. I've done everything from that. I've also worked every single part of a cow's life, from collecting to cooking. And I mean insemination, rearing, birthing, all the way through.
Damn.
I worked including working at a slaughterhouse for a year and a half. That was actually really good work. I kind of wish that they didn't shut down because of PETA.
Ooh.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've had so many jobs over the years. that I have a very broad knowledge of things. So yeah.
That's cool. I think that's good though. I can't say. I mean, I kind of worked a lot of different jobs too, but I never. Mine were all very mundane, very very mundane.
Yeah, don't hold the bag.
No, no. I just, and especially like 12 years old, you know, like
Eh, Hey, I was making $15 an hour in the mid '90s,
that's pretty
just
fucking good.
doing this.
It was not on your shoulder.
Yeah, it was.
Ah! Oh my god. That's awesome. That's so funny. Holy shit. Uh
Hey,
I'm just
$15
imagining.
to try to stand still for 30 seconds. It works.
I know, but I'm just thinking like it's got to be all warm on you and like
No, it's a very the bag, quote unquote,
yeah.
is a fur-lined leather bag, so you don't feel anything other than the horse pushing on you.
Oh, okay,
There's
okay,
no
okay.
heat. There's no nothing. It's
All
just
right. That's better. That's way better. That doesn't. That's a
yeah.
lot. That's a lot less
It's
bothersome.
not like I'm going up there with just holding a condom on it.
Yeah. That's kind of like that's where my brain went to. Like,
Yeah, it's a thick leather bag with a spout at the bottom
gotcha.
that
Okay.
has a collection jar.
Yeah.
You should ask Biotech Babe. I know she knows about it.
Does she? Okay. Has she been? You know what? You know what? I'll ask her about it at some point. Yeah. I'm not even gonna make jokes about it because Jesus Christ. Whoa. And cattle ranching too. Like that's always been really fascinating to me too. Like any kind of ranching, I think is really interesting.
And a dairy farm.
Yeah. Yeah. I there was something about dairy farming that I just recently I think I had a dream that I had to like I had to milk like a cow like human hybrids, like human cow hybrids. I think I had a dream about that.
You need to stop watching anime before you go to bed.
I think I do. Yeah, I think I really do. Oh man.
Donnie has been a bad influence on you.
It's a lot of people have been a bad influence on me. That's for sure. Okay, so so coding's a thing, odd jobs are a thing, but it does get down to like you wanted to be an electrician and now you're into computers because hardware is your primary passion. Why is that?
Because I understand it, and there's just something magical when you see just a bunch of parts that you can put together to make something that not only works but works so amazingly.
Sure.
Like, 1 second. This is a cellular computer that can handle up to 6 cameras.
Okay.
This is a device you can plug in anywhere and have cameras hooked up to be able to view remotely from anywhere in the world.
As long as it can contact the cell network.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's stuff like that. I love, plus the smell of new electronics.
Yeah.
It's intoxicating.
Unwrapping a brand new video card is something amazing. So, but the thing that's always been maybe it's the thing that's like the functional disconnect between me and hardware because I like hardware because it's like putting together a puzzle or like building a Lego, you know. It feels like because I understand the basic idea behind how hardware works, but machine language is complete voodoo to me.
Well, it depends on what level you're getting into because you have several different levels. If you're talking about like C, that's actually like 2 levels up.
Oh yeah.
Because you start at ones and zeros, binary.
Right.
And then right above that you have assembler.
Assembler, that's right. Yeah, an assembler is voodoo. That shit is voodoo.
It is, but if you can code an assembler, there's no reason for you to make less than $300,000 a year.
No shit.
No shit.
Wow.
Because if you can code an assembler, that means you can write perfect code. Because if you write something in C, it'll work.
Sure.
It'll work. It'll work okay.
Yeah.
If you write something in assembler, either it works or it doesn't.
Right. Right.
And when it works, it's flawless.
It's
because it's either flawless or it doesn't.
It's the direct language that translates between a coding language and the actual like legit physical functioning of hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's because I've always like I learned how to code and I learned the basic fundamentals of it, but really like condensing and translating that down to the ones and zeros of hardware is just so out there for me, you know? Like I can grasp concepts in like quantum mechanics pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Not pretty decently. The functionality of like how hardware works and interfaces with like commands out.
See, that's why I recommend instead of learning like some programming language like that, learn Bash.
Yeah.
Because Bash actually interacts with a machine at the same level as C does, but it's a higher tier language.
Right.
So, and you can literally interact with just your hardware in Bash.
Okay. That's
and
cool.
it's born again shell. So it's a Linux based language. So yeah, I mean Linux is my favorite thing when it comes to anything but gaming.
Right. Anything but gaming, and it's pretty fucking amazing. So okay, I have a hardware question for you because I've heard this before in the past, but I don't know how valid it is. The statement follows like this. The reason why we started making multiple cores for processors is because we've effectively hit a ceiling for how powerful we can make a processor. Is that true?
Yes and no. We're actually starting to go into 3D processing instead, because right now everything is just printed on a flat plane. Right now it's completely 2D. But if we take it into the third dimension, which we're still working on because there's heat issues, you're actually able to increase your core speed. Because we've noticed if you go any faster than 5 gigahertz, you start getting into the point where you almost need LN2, liquid nitrogen, to be able to cool it.
Wow, okay. So it's
a 2D factor.
It sounds like the barrier to increasing processor speed in the architecture we have right now is actually like a physics problem.
It's thermodynamics.
Wow. No shit. Okay.
Well, it's because voltage plus, if you put voltage across silicon, it heats up.
Right, yeah.
And the voltage you would need to go above 5 gigahertz with a single core is so much that it would heat up to the point where the silicon would melt.
Right. Wow, that's fucking crazy. I mean, I guess why don't we just invent a better material? That's like the dumbest question I was about to ask.
Well, we have the better materials, we just don't have the technology to use them yet.
Oh, okay.
And the better materials that we're looking at is actually copper.
Huh. Well, why would it... Okay, all right, now I'm intrigued. So what's the barrier for using copper, then?
Right now, it's basically conductivity, because silicon in its purest form, which is what we use for stuff, is almost perfectly conductive the way it needs to be able to make a microprocessor.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're trying to use copper to do the same thing in a 3D format to be able to use multiple layers of silicon and the copper to do a 3D printed circuit.
Okay.
And once we have that, we'll be able to either increase the core count, or with the copper, which if you've ever had a copper heatsink, is an incredibly good source of sinking heat out of something.
Heat dispersal. Yeah, okay. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that was the thing that I've been wondering about for a long ass time. Because I mean, like when I was a kid, and I got my very first my own computer, I was very thrilled because I got a Pentium. Ooh, and
I remember my Pentium 25.
you know, a very first Pentium was like just amazing, and everybody else is stuck on a 486. And fuck you, Tim down the block, you piece of shit. And so I would watch as like these leaps forward of progress with hardware, and then all of a sudden it just like, that's it. We're not going any higher.
Yeah, it's a material barrier at the point, but there are things that we're trying to do to make it better. Ideally, we'd be using palladium, but it's so expensive.
There you go. Isn't it wonderful? If you think about it like this, isn't it wonderful that we have managed to innovate so much that we actually got to a barrier of physics? Like, it wasn't even just like, we actually made these things so damn good that we've gotten to where the barrier is actually the laws of thermodynamics themselves, and now we got to work around that. That's amazing to me. That's great.
Yeah, and if you really think about it, we would have got there a lot sooner had it not been for certain people.
Like who?
Like the whole Dark Ages and Spanish Inquisition thing. But yeah.
We could always talk about that, man, because like I am with you on that one.
Well, most of my family would kill me if I went too much further on that one.
Oh, it's fair. Well, the thing is too, that's something that I don't think is very fair. A lot of people take personally. Back then, people were a lot dumber than they are today. A lot dumber. It really didn't matter whether or not they were religious or not. They were just dumb. They didn't know better. Like, nobody knew any better, except for like one or two people, and those people, just didn't have the power to be able to sway them. So I don't think people should take that serious, that personal.
Yeah, well, tell that to Southern Baptists.
I have. It didn't go
and you're
well.
Still here?
Yeah, it didn't go well. It didn't go well at all. But I told them. Yeah, that's funny. All right, cooking. Who taught you how to cook?
My grandmother and Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah?
Watching him cook, I was able to develop a few skills. But my grandma's the one who taught me how to cook a lot of stuff. Like, I make a biscuits and gravy that my friends don't even call it gravy. They call it love gravy because it's...
Ooh.
I've had people who hate gravy taste it and ask for seconds.
No shit. What's your secret?
My secret is preparation. I mean, literally, I wake up at 5 a.m. and I make a big batch of it, and it's just ready to go. I mean, my stepfather had a restaurant that I worked at, and that's all he made.
It's gravy, gravy, gravy.
Yeah, and I used some of the stuff Grandma taught me and made it better.
Nice. I don't know, man. Like I still... Okay. I learned how to cook in New Orleans. I learned how to cook a lot of good stuff. I never learned how to make my own gravy. I always use a mix.
I'll have to teach you sometime.
Yeah. Because I can make the hell out of an Alfredo sauce. I taught myself how to make like some badass Alfredo from scratch. Gravy, just not so much. I don't know.
Well, that's why I'm also so good at making curry, because curry is just gravy with spicy.
It is, isn't it?
Yep. You just make a basic roux and build it up.
That's not a bad idea. Shit. Because I've been wanting to get more into curries as well. Gravies and curries are a really good idea. Because me and Mems are flirting with veganism lately. Just to do it, not really because we want to be vegans, but just to try it, And one of the ways to make like things that are otherwise not that flavorful, curries and gravies.
Yeah, I'll give you my recipe for Japanese curry.
Cool. Yeah, I'm into it.
It's a sweeter curry. It's not a spicy curry like the Indian curries or the Thai curries.
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah. So Gordon Ramsay, are you like a Food Network addict?
I just got really hammered one night and watched Hell's Kitchen, and I've been a fan since.
Oh yeah. It's great. It's fucking addictive. I was a Food Network addict when I had cable. I miss it.
Well, lately I've been getting into Alton Brown. Oh my God, I cannot believe just how merciless and informative he can get.
Alton Brown. I don't think I've ever watched him.
Good Eats.
Okay.
Look it up. He's got a YouTube channel as well.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I'll have to check it out. That sounds great. I don't know. Yeah, every time I look at my YouTube subscription feed and I get really annoyed with a channel that I otherwise used to watch all the time, I unsubscribe and then I go find a food YouTube channel and I sub to that.
Yeah, I definitely recommend Alton Brown then, because he's kind of intense.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, between him and I can't remember the guy's name now. First We Feast.
Oh,
Sean Evans.
Sean Evans, yeah. Although there was that like, I love First We Feast, Hot Ones, that sort of thing. Sean Evans, I like all that stuff, but he snubbed what was his name?
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith. Yeah, you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was a little pissed off about it. I actually made a couple Twitter posts on it. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, you can't just snub Kevin Smith.
Now, one that you might want to watch that's kind of funny but not very informative. Bert Kreischer has one too.
Bert Kreischer. What does he do?
He's a comedian. He, if you've ever heard The Machine.
The Machine.
It was a Showtime stand-up special he did. He's the comic who always takes his shirt off and he's a pudgy guy.
Oh yeah. Okay. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
He's got a show on YouTube that he just basically sits down and interviews people while they cook something random. Like Brad Williams, the midget comedian, made him a tomahawk steak.
Okay, that sounds cool.
And it looked like the brontosaurus steaks that they gave Fred at the end of the Flintstones.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, all they do is they get drunk and cook on that show.
Wow, that sounds fun. Damn.
Yeah.
All right, what's his? I wanna look him up too. What's his name?
Bert Kreischer.
Bert Kreischer. Bert Kreischer.
Just,
got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Cooking. There you go. Okay, I'll remember to look these up later. My favorite cooking show that I found over the past few years is Cooking with Tim. I'm a big Tim and Eric fan.
Oh.
Yeah, and
they're actually in Nashville this weekend.
I'm so
doing
jealous.
Tim and Eric's awesome show at TPAC.
No, I want to go. Oh my god.
I keep telling you to come to Nashville, dude.
I know. Well, honestly, if I was traveling anywhere, like this weekend, I'd be going to Anaheim, because Anaheim is having a Truth About Cancer convention.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, and all of them are there. All of them are there right now in
You would
Anaheim.
actually get a chance to smack Delpit Tree in his big fat fucking head.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's all right. I'll have to be traveling a lot next year for all that stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. God. No. So, but I love. There was a short-lived YouTube channel and like effort called Jash, where it was supposed to be Tim and Eric, Sarah Silverman, and a few other people. Mm-hmm. Only people who ever really did anything on it was Tim and Eric, and one of them was Cooking with Tim, and it was like 6 episodes of Tim trying to do a cooking show, but all he ever makes is basically like Russian dressing. That's all he ever really makes.
I'll look that up when we're done with this.
It's pretty. It's really. It's very lowbrow. Like, you're watching it and you're like, is this supposed to be funny? And then you keep watching it, and you're like, this is great. Wow, this is bizarre, because it's so dry. I love it.
It's like herpes. You don't understand what's going on until you got it.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. Tim and Eric is kind of like herpes anyway. So what first got you into video games? What system did you get your start on with video games?
The Atari 2600.
No shit.
Pitfall was my favorite game on that. Then there was Arkanoid, or Breakthrough, as a lot of people call it now. But yeah, I mean, those were some of my favorite games. And then I, after I got my first job, my goal was to buy one of every game system. I ended up with a regular NES, Mega Man, Metroid. Faxanadu was my favorite game, though. And it's
Xanadu?
one of
Yeah.
no Faxanadu.
Xanadu?
Yeah, it was kind of a Ghosts and Goblins parody, or not really parody, but ripoff. But it was so good.
I seem to kind of remember that. Thanks. I was hoping maybe you can help me out with this one. My first one was an Atari 2600 as well. We had that in ColecoVision. There was a game, and I'm pretty sure it was for the Atari, and it was like I want to say that it was just called Quest or something like that, and it had a maze, and you had to like go through the maze, and there were dragons and shit.
Yeah, that was Quest.
That was Quest? Okay.
Yeah.
I a very young 5-6-year-old me could not figure that fucking game out.
It was actually the first game with an Easter egg too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
No shit. What was the Easter egg in it?
It was just a message from the designer. Basically, you found the hidden room.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's wild. That's not the first video game system I ever played, though. The first one I ever played was a computer. They had the big, like, 5 1/4 floppies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was monochrome, and there was a game based on the movie Alien. Yeah, like the very first game ever made for the movie Alien. And I distinctly remember that, but I can't remember what that computer system was. It must have been like a really old one, too.
It could have been a Commodore 64. If we're talking the very early or late 70s, early 80s.
Probably
which
early
is
to mid 80s.
around that time frame.
Yeah.
It would have been a Tandy 8088, a Commodore 64, or something of the 286 architecture.
Man. Yeah. I don't know. I've always wondered about that. Like, I never actually looked it up either. The first Alien video game. That's not going to bring up a bunch of weird shit. I don't know.
Knowing that, it might end up coming up with Space Invaders, even though that was, I think, 81 maybe.
Okay, this is interesting. So the very first one was titled Alien. Go figure.
Mm-hmm.
For the 2600.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year was for the Commodore 64. And they also had one for the Amstrad, but I think it was probably Commodore 64. That's probably what it was. Maybe a ZX Spectrum, but I don't think so. I don't think that Family Friends had a ZX Spectrum. I think I would remember that pretty distinctly.
The Commodore 64 was much more budget friendly.
It was. I'm looking at a picture of it too. Yeah, I think it was the Commodore 64. I remember that big, bulky, fat fucking keyboard thing, because that's what it was built into, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Had a 5-inch screen about like that.
I don't remember. I don't remember how big the screen was. I mean, everything looked bigger back then because I was a very, very young kid. Yeah, dude.
You were closer to it.
Yep. Yes, it was. It's a Commodore 64. Wow, I'm like discovering things from my childhood with this interview. This is great. So you got your start on the 64, then an NES and that sort of thing. When you were growing up, and this is a pretty important question. Were you a Sega fanboy or a Nintendo fanboy?
I was both.
Yeah? You didn't have a preference?
I had a Genesis. I had a Super Nintendo. I had the Sega Master System. I had the Nintendo Entertainment System. The only one I didn't buy was the Saturn.
Well, I didn't either. Nobody did. Nobody bought the damn Saturn. See, I was a Sega supremacist. I really was. Up until it really didn't make sense.
Up until Sony.
Yeah, well, no, up until like all the good games were on the SNES, and I was like, our version of Mortal Kombat is still better.
Which it was.
It was, because we had actual blood.
Yeah.
You remember that? Green Blood for the SNES version is ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really have Mortal Kombat for either system.
No?
Nope. I had Golden Axe, though.
Golden Axe is the shit, man. Golden Axe is the shit.
Yeah, I noticed that I started going on the Nintendo side. I started going more for RPGs, and I really used the hell out of that blast processor in the Sega, though.
There's a great game if you still have like all those fond memories of Golden Axe. There's a great game based on Dungeons and Dragons, actually, on the Steam store. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Okay.
It's called Dungeons and Dragons Chronicles of Mystara, and it's the same exact kind of thing as Golden Axe, but it's like 4-player cooperative across the internet. It's badass. Okay. It's like 4-player Golden Axe with your buddies online. It's dope.
I'll definitely look that up.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's cool as shit.
I mean, I also played a lot of Gauntlet too, and I had a bunch of friends who actually played video games with.
Gauntlet was great. They made like the 3D Gauntlet, which I wasted like $1 billion in the arcade when that came out. You know what I'm talking about?
I remember the game. I don't remember the full name though.
It's like Gauntlet Dark something. Can't remember. Gauntlet Dark Legacy. Yeah, Gauntlet Dark Legacy. And then I tried to play it on a console, and it's not the same. Ooh, that's a good one. When you were growing up, did you have access to an arcade?
Yes.
Yeah?
I had access to arcade in Pierre Moran Mall in Elkhart, Indiana.
Okay.
And it's not there anymore. But yeah, that was my first introduction to Galaga. And I actually bought the cabinet when they closed.
Oh, so the very same one that you played growing up.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking cool as shit. Oh my god. So was Galaga your favorite arcade game when you were growing up?
Yeah, that and Tetris.
Okay. Mine was Afterburner. It's way too expensive to buy one of those cabinets.
Yeah, try buying a DDR cabinet.
Yes. You're better off. You're better off getting like one of the metal DDR dance pad things.
Yeah, I still break those. It's the ones they make in the actual factory that I can actually use.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a really big guy.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I actually narrowly spent unnecessarily like $500 one year. I had bonus money from a job that I was working, and Memory really liked DDR, but she hated the like stupid pads. So I was gonna order her a $500 metal dance pad, and I was just about to hit send, and I was like, you know what? Just in case. So I went over and I'm like, hey baby, you think I'll be like, you like DDR? She's like, yeah. I'm like, hey, you think that maybe we should invest in maybe getting a little bit better dance pad? She's like, I think I'm just kind of done with DDR for a while. I'm like, want to go out and get something fancy for dinner tonight?
Well, if you would have known me then, you could have just asked me to build you a set. I actually did for my friend Autumn.
No shit.
Yeah, it's not hard. All you got to do is get some pressure plates and take apart a video game controller.
Damn. Now that I'm thinking about it,
like I said, hardware.
Yeah, hardware. Yeah. Damn. I never really thought about it. It's probably incredibly easy to wire one of those things up.
Not easy, but a hell of a lot cheaper than $500. I think I made a twin set and made it to where they wouldn't hurt themselves on it for I think around $150 for a 2-player game.
I had this idea a long time ago. I wanted to basically take the concept of a DDR pad, instead of making it like super big, make it about like a 2 foot by 2 foot, and the pressure plates have them very, very thickly padded, and it could be great for precision striking practice for martial arts.
Yeah.
You play DDR by like punching the shit, you know? That'd be great.
It would. The only downside of that is you'd have to have 2 Lexan plates in there, just to give the membranes a trigger. Otherwise, you'd actually break your membranes with all the striking.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, I hardware, not hardware, so, like, yeah.
Well, idea guy, hardware guy.
There you go. Yeah, no, but I thought that'd be kind of interesting. That'd be a great way to still get, like, you know, good cardio in. And if you aren't a person who can, like, move your legs too well, you could at least still do the rhythm games like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, well, that's why with my next check, I'll be getting a heavy bag.
Oh, yeah. I miss having a training bag quite a lot. Have you ever been, like, formally trained?
I was a boxer for 2 years in high school.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
I got mad respect for boxing. There's a lot more to it than most people think. You definitely got the mitts for it, that's for fucking sure. Jesus Christ. Big walls of fists. But yeah, okay, so here's a good question for you then. Would you rather watch boxing or would you rather watch MMA?
To be honest, I really don't like watching either unless it's featherweight boxing. Featherweight boxing is amazing.
Yeah.
But if you go to like super heavyweight and stuff like that, it's boring. I mean, it's the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
But the featherweights, oh my god. I mean, you never know who's going to win. It is the most unpredictable thing you'll ever see.
Yep.
And MMA, I'm sorry, I just find it boring.
It's just all jujitsu.
Yeah.
Yep. It's
A
always
little bit of judo thrown in, but it's just boring.
I tend to feel the same way about it too. Watching heavyweights fight is pretty hilarious. It's like 2 big walls of meat just slamming into each other and counting punches and shit. Every now and then you get surprised. There was this, I don't know what fucking year it was, but it was like for the world heavyweight title or something like that. And I was at my uncle's house and he paid something like $60 for this fight. And watching all the undercards. And then they ring the bell for the main fight and they walk out. 10 seconds. Dude's down. You paid how much for this fight?
Yeah, it's probably Evander Holyfield. He was really good about that.
Yeah. Might have been. Yeah, I think I like boxing way more than MMA. There's just something... There are more rules, but the athleticism and the precision... there's just something amazing about boxing, especially when you get into the lower weight classes. Yeah.
Now, I will actually recommend an anime to you. I know you probably won't watch it, but if you ever do watch it, it's strictly about boxing and what boxers mostly go through in order to be a boxer. It's called Hajime no Ippo.
Hajime no Ippo. Okay.
It's it actually brings in some of the parts of boxing that most people don't know about, like crash dieting to the point where you were so dehydrated you can't move.
Oh yeah.
Just so you can make weight.
That shit's so wild. Most people really don't understand that kind of shit either, like crash dieting, dehydration dieting and shit. Like, do you remember just a few months ago there was that whole thing about a picture of Jason Momoa and people were like, he's got a dad bod. And no, he just hadn't done a crash diet to be on screen. You know?
Yeah.
That's what a human being looks like, guys. Even a really powerfully muscular dude, that's what he looks like. They don't wake up in the morning looking like a wall of...
Yeah, I got something to say to everybody. Human beings are meant to store fat.
It's intended. When you like, oh my god, there was this friend of mine, kind of friend. She's very dumb, but she was obsessed with losing weight. Not to the point of anorexia or anything like that, but like she just had very severe body issues, and she did like crazy dieting.
Yeah.
And then at one point, she started freaking out, and she's like, "I haven't menstruated in like 4 months, and I think I'm pregnant, but I'm not getting any bigger." And like, no, you're not menstruating because you don't have any body fat. That's
It's
not a
because
thing.
your
Yeah.
it's because your body put you into a state of prepubescence. That's why.
It knows that your body is not in any way capable of carrying a child, so stops your fucking menstruation. It happens. It fucking happens.
Well, the reason I ended up getting so big is because I got hurt really, really, really bad. I was a bouncer in the early 2000s. I I bounced somebody who shouldn't have been there in the first place. Vietnam Marine veteran.
Oh no.
I ended up getting bounced myself. He shattered my shoulder, my clavicle, and they ended up having to remove 2 inches of my humerus in order to rebuild the joint. So my right arm is 2 inches 2 inches shorter than my left now.
Wow. Ouch. Holy shit.
And that laid me up for about 10 weeks, and I was still eating the same diet I was then, which was about 8 to 10,000 calories a day.
Yep. That'll do it. That'll fucking do it. Especially if you're like bodybuilding and doing bouncing and shit like that. God. Ugh.
Yeah, well, I was still running to work 6 miles a day.
Holy shit. Okay. Yeah. That's a pretty active ass lifestyle. Oh my god.
When I was boxing, my coach told me, "Hey, you only live 2 miles away from school. Run to school.
Yeah.
Take a shower when you get here. Go to your classes. Run home." And that's what I did, and I just ran everywhere.
Yep. That's the way to do it. I mean, if your whole lifestyle at that point is dedicated to just physical fitness and shit, that makes sense.
You know, and then 10,000 calorie a day diet going into a sedentary lifestyle. I went from 275 pounds at my peak to, okay, I'll say it on here, 512 pounds.
Oh, man. Ouch.
And in the course of, well, I also had some family issues that I probably won't discuss here.
Sure.
But I had some family issues that ended up, making everything worse. So I started binge eating as well.
Yep.
And over the course of about 10 years, I went from 275 to 512, and I'm down to 463 now.
Hell yeah, dude. Absolutely. That's good. It's life has a way of kind of like cascading and falling on top of you at your worst possible moments.
Yeah. And I definitely hit mine.
Yeah. It's never like when you're completely healthy and totally fine when like, horrible god awful family drama happens. It has to be like when you're like shattered and broken and fucked up. Of course. Yep. Life is not very considerate most of the time.
And nor should it be.
Nah.
I mean, the best lessons are learned when everything's gone to shit.
That's true. I agree with that very much so. That's when people really shine. Okay. So how'd you get your nickname?
Okay. My name, everybody calls me NeoGibu now. When in the early 2000s, I went to a convention with a bunch of my buddies, and I got beyond hammered. I had a fifth and a half of Jack Daniels and most of a bottle of tequila and a couple joints and a few shrooms in me.
Woo!
Now, mind you, this is this is when I was drinking.
Yeah.
So this was not an average day for me, but it wasn't really the heaviest day I've ever had either. Well, everybody wondered where I went, and they found me in the corner of one of the rooms, just uttering 2 syllables. Gih. Boo. Over and over and over. So from that day on, they started calling me Gibu.
Do you know what you were trying to say?
I don't even remember the day. But they just started calling me Gibu, and I let it stick. I started wearing it as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
As anybody who has a really bad situation does or should. if you have something real bad, just wear it as a badge of honor and then
Yeah.
rise above it. I ended up adding the Neo to it after I quit drinking. What ended up happening was my brother and I had gone out heavily drinking again and came back to my place. We crashed. I crashed on the couch. He crashed on the chair next to me. And about probably 2, 3 hours later, I wake up to him violently vomiting into my face.
Oh.
And I wake up, I'm all stammering and trying to figure out what the hell's going on. He runs over to me and he starts calling me by his wife's name and then starts leaning in for a kiss. And
Oh my
despite the
God.
fact that I'm covered in alcohol puke, I could smell the alcohol on his breath. And now every time I try to take a drink,
Oh.
I can't do it because of that.
Oh my God.
So I stopped drinking. About a month later, I had a Neo to my name and said, Gibu's not coming back.
Oh wow. Oh, that's a good one. Holy shit. Man. Wow. Wow. Damn. That's a good reason to stop drinking.
Yeah.
And you know what's great
Good
too?
reason to stay stopped.
Yeah, that's a good reason to stay stopped. And what's great too is like it wasn't even you that had to do the embarrassing shit. It was him.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome. I have plenty of really embarrassing stories of being drunk that probably should have dissuaded me. Nothing quite like that.
Yeah. That's a one-step program.
Yeah. That is a one-step program. I imagine like this smell too. The smell, our sense of smell has such a direct line to our brains, and it's such a powerful sensory, like, I don't know, that's probably got a lot to do with it. Damn.
Yeah. It was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm NeoGibu.
Yeah. Hey, fuck it. That's awesome. God damn. That's some funny shit. All right. So I asked you a question, something that you wanted to discuss, and I think this is a pretty good one. You said you wish that people would stop knee jerk reacting to everything, pay attention to the surroundings, and listen, and realize that the world is actually pretty great. So what do you mean by this? Like, what's the thing that's really that you're seeing people do a lot?
People are reacting more to their phones and social media and things like that than they are to things that are happening right in their backyard.
Hmm.
You know, they don't see what's going on directly around them. All they see is what's happening 10,000 miles away, and think that, okay, I can't do anything. Yes, you can do stuff here.
Right.
The better you make it here, the better other people want to make it further out. It's not a matter of start work over here and work your way in. Start where you are and work your way out.
Okay.
You know, and the worst thing that I can possibly think of is what I like to call Facebook activism. Thoughts and prayers.
Yep. Thoughts and prayers.
You know, if you want to do something with the world, if you want to change something, do it. Go out there and do it. Donate to a charity that does the things that you want to do. Donate your time, your effort into something in your area. You know, it's not, you know, think globally, act locally. It's think about what's around you, and the better you have it, people are going to get jealous and want to do it too.
That's pretty great actually, because people have it. I've noticed that people have. I wonder if you see this too. I have this kind of pessimistic view. It's not pessimistic, it's realistic, I think, where people will do things, and especially it's with this Facebook activism, because it's easy for them to do, but they do it, and they think that they're doing something noble, but they're kind of doing it for themselves, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's very honest. I don't think people are very honest about it in general. Like, and this sounds like I'm throwing a bunch of shade, but it doesn't really feel like a genuine effort. And I echo what you're saying here. I really wish that people would do things for the sake of doing them, they'd probably find it a lot more rewarding.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're doing it just because you want the likes or the clout, you shouldn't be doing it. If you're doing it because you genuinely want it to be better so that it'll be better tomorrow, do it.
Well, I think even if it's not really like the dopamine hit of like getting your likes and your shares and things like that, even just like, I think sometimes it's a selfish, self-serving act to do it just because you could tell yourself, I did that. And if you can then, to go off what you were saying just a second ago, if you can then instead use that and make people jealous by just doing it yourself to do it because it's the right thing to do, as long as the result is the same, fuck it. It's great. But how do we pull people away from, I mean, it's one thing to stay informed, but how do we get people to look up? That's a hard one for me. Like, because I have trouble doing it too. I have a hard time looking up from my phone.
I actually have a trick for how I do it.
Yeah?
I don't turn my ringer on, ever. I turn my vibrator off. And when I'm doing something that I want to do, or I do something that needs to get done, I put it on its face in the other room.
Okay.
And I'll check it once every 15 minutes or something if I know that somebody's going to try to contact me.
That's pretty fair. I mean, I don't even answer my phone anymore. Like,
I mean, the easy way of doing things would be just set off a giant EMP. But
that would be one way to do it. But then we got a whole lot of other problems with that.
Yeah.
Medical equipment. But yeah, I that is something though that I struggle with, because like my whole work is online, and I kind of have to be aware.
That does make it more difficult, but at the same time, one thing I would suggest for somebody who does what you do, if you need to make the time, scheduling. I know Mems is doing the Google Calendar thing now.
Yeah.
Schedule a 2-hour block where you don't do anything that has technology involved other than, like listening to a radio or something.
Every day?
Even if it's 2 hours a week.
Well, that's doable.
Schedule a block of time where you completely unplug.
That might be doable. Maybe a day where I take the afternoon and unplug. I'd probably be a lot happier if I did that.
I mean, if you still had that dome thing set up, I'd say go out there and read a book.
Well, I do still have it set up. There's just nothing like covering it. But yeah, I do need to I need to catch up on comic books. I'm really bad about that. I have been intending to do comic book reviews on my third channel for like a year now, but I will forget about comic books for 3 months, and then I'll have like 3 days where I try and read to catch up, and I'll almost get caught up, and then I'll forget for 3 months again.
Yeah. Considering how his Twitter is blowing up, I'm thinking about getting Rob Liefeld's omnibuses.
That would be cool. I mean, you have to deal with his art.
Hey, just because he can't draw feet doesn't mean he can't tell a story. That's my opinion.
He could tell he's a great storyteller. I love Rob Liefeld. And he's such a nice guy. He's a sweetie.
He really is. Oh, he is. He's shattering the fuck out of a bunch of people on Twitter right now.
Is he? What's he doing?
Yeah. Like, people are calling him out because, oh, how could you fit organs in there because he draws women with impossibly small waists? Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's caricature. That's what he's trying to get at. And they're like, just shitting on him because of that stuff. And he's like, yeah, just because, I have the highest rated franchise of any of the Marvel. like I said, he's totally shattering him. And he'll just sit there and troll him.
That's awesome. Good for him. People are ridiculous when it comes to art. Mm-hmm. It's, it's really, I don't know. It's activism. It's the allure of it. It's the addiction of it. And it comes to things like culture and art, things like comic books. People want to have something to complain about. And, most of the people who do that kind of stuff, they don't read fucking comic books. They don't care about
Well, that and a
books.
lot of the people who are really, really, really going at him hard have third wave in their bios.
Sure, sure, and it's preposterous.
Mm-hmm.
It's and you know, like that's something that I've been trying to figure out how to balance for a while. Cause like I critique that stuff really really hard for a bit, but I also had to kind of make the decision to scale back on it because I had to question whether or not it was something that I wanted to make like a priority. And I still to this day don't really know how much of it is just pointless noise and doesn't really matter and how much of it has legs. I still don't know.
Well, what I actually do know about it, it's better to just keep your distance.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
no, I plan to.
I mean, the only one who really lately that I've been looking at has been covering it really really well is Shu.
Oh yeah, sure,
So
sure. Shu is like the only one that is still active in it that hasn't turned into
hmm
a complete asshole because she's a real liberal,
hmm
and a sweetie pie too. Her
and
and
I love the new purple hair.
yeah, that's great. That's super great. You know, her and Greg and I had a really rocky relationship for a very long
hmm
time, and I did not think very highly of the Armored Skeptic for a while. But that dude was such an absolute gentleman and was super chill. And when we buried the hatchet in person, was just an absolute stand-up guy. And he gets a lot of shit and a lot of bad rep for various different things, but I think he's a great dude, and I'm really happy those two are together.
Yeah, I didn't really have a whole lot of like knowledge or like opinion of him until I seen the movie review they did of 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh yeah,
And that's when I fully respected him and him pointing out that it is one of the most dangerous movies out there.
I agree. Yeah.
And it really is. I mean, I know people in those communities and I'm like, this is dangerous. They're actually causing harm using this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, Greg and June put it out there and I was like, okay, you got my sub.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, they're cool. They're very sweet. And you know, she really is like the last bastion of that kind of critique and still being sane. Everybody else just
Yeah.
like went way over the edge. Everybody
Even
lost
though
their
I'm
fucking
not a
minds.
fan of her giving more of a platform to Amos Yee.
Yeah. You know, and it's weird too because Amos Yee was the reason why I got out of any kind of cultural critique.
Okay, so he's done one thing right now.
Yeah, he did one thing good. One thing. Well, I wasn't. He didn't do it. It was after I
He was the
had.
catalyst.
He was a catalyst. It was after I had that stream where I confronted him,
hmm
and the stream was over, and I was sitting there, and I'm looking through my Streamlabs, and I'm seeing how much I made in like super chats and Streamlab donations, and I felt fucking sick. I was disgusted with myself because
Yeah.
I was taking money for having that piece of shit on my channel, and like I can't do this anymore. I can't.
Yeah, your work
Fuck
should never
this.
make you feel disgusting.
Yeah, I felt fucking gross, dude. It was awful.
Well, disgusting in like a moral sense, not. I worked in a slaughterhouse. I felt disgusting every day, but you get what I mean.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I'm kind of a gross dude either way. It's fine.
Especially when Brother Sage is on.
Yeah, yeah. Good old brother Sage, man. That fucking guy. You know, okay. Here's the thing. So we're talking about how, you know, it's like basic bullshit online Facebook activism. We want to, you know, it'd be good to think locally, try and improve things in your own local sphere. Brother Sage does that. At least that's what he thinks he's doing.
Yeah, but show your work.
Yeah, yes, because I need more material for the roundup.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You know, if you're going to be doing something, and you really think that you're doing something that's going to help people, show your work.
Mm-hmm. Let's see it. Let's see if it works or not. Let's see what it does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And
Like the fucking Muppet you had on uh, the stream the other day, who's sous videing people for a living.
Who's what?
Sous vide. It's where you put meat in a bag and put it in hot water.
Oh, yeah. The guy who's cooking people. Yeah.
Yeah, like 14 of those were U.S. citizens.
Yep.
Desperate U.S. citizens who he probably convinced to stop doing whatever treatment they were on. Yeah, like I said, show your work, and if you can't prove it, I will eat you alive.
What's going on, everybody? Jeff Holiday here.
So, sorry, I just clicked on something and I wanted to check on this, and yeah, that damn video that you watched me make, it's goddamn demonetized. So stupid. Confirmed by manual review.
I'm willing to bet it's because of the word cancer.
I usually don't have that much of a problem with it. I'm thinking probably something in the description triggered enough of it, and then like somebody went through, and the manual review was probably somebody who went and read the title and was like, "Oh yeah, that's got to be demonetized." Yeah, it's so dumb.
Soylent Green is people.
Soylent Green is people. Did you ever try that Soylent meal replacement stuff?
I did.
You did? How was it?
Not a fan.
No? What was wrong with it?
I just didn't like the flavor of it. It's the stuff I had, it was okay. It was very, very bland. Like, to the point where it's like you're eating and or drinking cardboard.
Ew. Ah. I mean, why can't they put flavoring into it?
Well, it was supposed to be flavored. I just didn't get any of the flavor from it.
Yeah. Weird.
Now, mind you, I did get it secondhand, so I didn't buy it myself. So who knows how old it was?
Right.
So I'm not gonna say, don't do it. I'm just gonna say not a fan.
That's fair. I always found that kind of thing really interesting because, I mean, growing up in sci-fi and that sort of thing, instead of needing to eat a meal, you can pop a pill and that's your turkey dinner or whatever. The idea of meal replacement.
I'd love a Jetsons meal.
Yeah, that's great. So meal replacement, I've always found to be a really interesting sci-fi concept, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it. Roommate just started going on it. It's a meal replacement plan that is for diabetics because she's type 1.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
And she's trying to lose weight, so they're trying to give her this meal replacement that'll allow her to do it. And so far, she hates every second of it, but it's working.
If it's working, yeah, it's a tough thing. Taste and enjoying the flavor of food is such a powerful feeling, and having to negate yourself with that, it just sucks. It's so shitty. I hate that.
Especially after you learn how to cook French food.
Yeah. If you know how to cook really well,
you cook Creole, so
I do.
I can only imagine.
And Creole is not diet fucking friendly at all.
No, it's not.
God.
I would absolutely love to know how to make a good gumbo.
Well, the secret to good gumbo is get a bunch of shit that nobody wants. Bunch of fish heads, bunch of pieces of crab, bunch of leftover shucked shells, and slow cook that shit for about a day and a half to make your stock. That's your basis for gumbo. The leavings, the trash of the sea. And you make your stock out of that and build it up from there. But that's
so
the
basically
best
go to Red Lobster and say, hey, just pour it all in here.
Yeah. Have you never heard my gumbo horror story? Okay. I don't know if I've ever put it on a stream, so I'll take a minute and tell you. So I was working in this restaurant called C'est Bon. Supposed to be fancy French cooking in New Orleans. It was a shithole. They got this new chef in, this guy named Carl from Detroit, made Detroit pizza, but he actually knew how to cook a bunch of stuff, classically trained French chef.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he liked to drink and he liked to gamble and he liked to go pool sharking down in the French Quarter. I get off work and I go home and I got my 2 days off. And I get a call the next day and they're like, "Do you know where Carl is?" I'm like, "No, I don't know where Carl is." So the next day they call up, "Do you know where Carl is?" "No, I don't know where Carl is." So then the day after that, when I finally go back to work, I am opening. So I open the doors and, oh, what is that smell? Oh, the whole restaurant smells like a dead body. Oh my God.
Oh God.
Oh my God. What the fuck is
Carl
that?
gumboed?
No. So we go and investigate, and like the smell gets so bad the closer you get to the kitchen. I had to take my t-shirt off and tie it around my fucking nose.
Mm-hmm.
And what had happened was Carl had put in the stock pot to make the gumbo. This big, massive, like 3.5-inch deep tray full of fish guts and fish heads, a piece of crab, piece of lobster. And then he'd gone out that night and went pool sharking at a little place called the Dungeon. And somebody tried to call him on his pool sharking because he had taken a bunch of the guy's money, cracked a pool cue over his head. Carl stabbed the guy and was in jail. So he never came to get the gumbo pot out. That was a bad day. That was a real bad day.
God. I bet you had no chance of opening that day.
No, we didn't. We had to air the whole fucking place out. It was that bad.
Yeah.
And I was out there throwing up into my t-shirt while I'm pouring this shit down the drain, like in the storm drain.
Oh, I bet.
Whole block right on fucking St. Charles Avenue, right by the goddamn university, just reeked of the worst dead body smell. It's awesome.
Okay, I do not envy you, and I've seen some pretty nasty shit.
It's gross. But that's how you make a good gumbo. Not that way, but you know.
That the way you told me before the story.
Right. That, but don't let it turn into dead body rot reek. Don't do that. That's bad.
Yeah.
Stop before that.
Sounds like a plan.
You know what the difference is between gumbo and etouffee?
Foam?
One's rice, one's beans. That's it. But I mean, honestly, most people just put rice and beans in both, and then they just call one. They'll have a listing on the menu for gumbo. They'll have a listing on the menu for etouffee, and then they'll list the ingredients. It's the same fucking ingredients, but in a different order. And that's how the Cajuns will sell it to you. I mean,
well, I've never had etouffee when I have been in New Orleans, but I always go down there and I get a big bowl of gumbo every time.
Yeah. It's so good.
So,
I love gumbo. You're so close to New Orleans. I'm very jealous.
I'm still about 3.5 hours away.
Yeah, but that's closer to you than I am to like Seattle.
Okay.
So I mean, 3.5 hours. I'd go to if I lived 3.5 hours from New Orleans, I would at least be down in New Orleans once every 3 months for the weekend. Easy. Hands down. Hands down. Oh my God. So jealous.
Well, I'm like right in between New Orleans and where I grew up. So I can go visit my sister anytime. The lady who used to come and work on my shoulder after surgeries and stuff, she had her ex-husband lived in New Orleans. So she would come and stay at my house in return for a therapy session.
Okay.
On the way there and on the way back.
That sounds like a pretty sweet deal.
Give up my couch for a night.
Yeah, fuck it. Make some killer ass gravy for the house guests. Yeah.
That's what I usually do.
I've had this terrible thing that keeps happening. I keep buying biscuits. And I keep forgetting that biscuits expire really quickly for some weird reason. And so I keep having to throw them away. For like the past 3 months, I haven't had any biscuits and gravy because I keep having to throw away my biscuit mix.
Should I just give you my drop biscuit recipe?
I might need to, yeah. But
it takes 3 minutes to set up, and it costs a whole lot less than that barrel of biscuits you get.
those are pretty cheap, though.
Yeah.
But I just went to the store 2 days ago. Oh.
Yeah, let me turn that down. Okay, it stopped. Somebody's drilling a hole.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. But I just went shopping 2 days ago. So I have biscuit mix, and I have some gravy mix. I think I'm going to have biscuits and gravy today. That sounds really good.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
And I'll give you my recipe later so you can make it the right way.
I like this idea. Well, so I think at this point, we're probably going to go offline and keep talking. So for everybody out there, this has been NeoGibu, my buddy. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me.
And anything else you'd like to say? Last word is yours.
I have a channel that's going to be coming up on YouTube, Everybody Gibbs, where I'll be making really, really absurd machinations to solve what I call world's problems. Also, subscribe to Olyve Gardyns.
Excellent. All right, and I'll make sure all of your social media links and everything are in the description here in just a little bit. And thank you very much, everybody.
Appreciate it.
All right, cool. Good night, everybody.
See you guys.